The transport ship New Haven moved slowly through the dark space between stars. Inside the large white vessel, 847 people slept in special beds that kept them safe during the long journey. Men, women, children, and babies all dreamed of their new home on a planet called Kepler-442b. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the quiet halls of his ship. He was a big man with gray hair and kind eyes. Jake had been flying ships for 20 years, but this was his favorite kind of trip. No weapons, no fighting, just families looking for a better life. "Morning, Captain," said Pete Collins from the bridge. Pete was young and smart, with messy brown hair and a quick smile. He watched the star maps and made sure they stayed on the right path. "Morning, Pete. How are we doing?" Jake asked. "Perfect, sir. We're right on schedule. Should reach Kepler in 6 more days." Pete pointed to the green line on his screen. "We're staying in the safe shipping lanes, just like always." Jake nodded. The shipping lanes were like highways in space. All the different alien races agreed to keep them safe for trade ships and civilian vessels. No fighting was allowed in these areas. In the medical bay, Dr. Lisa Bennett checked on the sleeping families. Lisa was a small woman with red hair and gentle hands. She had joined this mission because she wanted to help people start new lives. The medical bay was full of pregnant mothers and elderly people who needed extra care during the journey. "How are they doing, Doc?" asked Amy Carter. Amy was the ship's engineer, a young woman with short black hair and oil-stained work clothes. She was only 25, but could fix anything on the ship. "Everyone's fine," Lisa said with a smile. "Mrs. Thompson's baby should be born right after we land. And old Mr. Davis's heart is doing much better in the low gravity." Amy smiled back. She loved hearing about the families. Her own parents had died in an accident when she was young, so these colonists felt like the family she never had. In another part of the ship, Sam Rodriguez sat in the observation deck. Sam was an old soldier who had fought in the border wars 10 years ago. His hair was white now, and his hands shook a little, but his eyes were still sharp. He was going to Kepler to be with his daughter and her new baby. "Beautiful out there," said a voice behind him. Sam turned to see Jake Morrison looking out at stars. "Yes, it is," Sam agreed. "Hard to believe there's so much hate in something so pretty." Jake knew what Sam meant. Even though space was huge and beautiful, some alien races didn't like humans expanding to new worlds. The Zephyrians were the worst. They thought humans were young and stupid and didn't belong among the stars. "Don't worry about that stuff," Jake said. "We're in the safe lanes. No one bothers civilian ships here." Sam nodded, but his old soldier instincts made him uneasy. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't say what. On the bridge, Pete Collins was humming a song while he worked. The ship's computers were sending out signals that told everyone they were civilians. No weapons, no military equipment, just families going to a new home. "Contact," Pete said suddenly. His voice was different now. Worried, Jake hurried to the bridge. "What is it?" 3 ships just appeared on our sensors. "They weren't there a second ago." Pete's fingers moved quickly over his controls. They must have been hiding somehow. Jake looked at the screen. 3 long, dark ships with sharp edges surrounded the New Haven. They looked like metal sharks with glowing red eyes. "Zephyrians," Jake whispered. His blood went cold. "Sir, they're not responding to our civilian signals," Pete said. His voice was shaking now. Jake grabbed the radio. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Morrison of the civilian transport. New Haven. We are carrying families and children to Kepler 442b. Please respond." Only silence came back. "Try again," Jake ordered. "Zephyrian ships, we are civilians. We have no weapons. We carry only families seeking new homes. Please respond." Still nothing. In the medical bay, Lisa Bennett felt the ship shake slightly. Amy. What was that? Amy was already looking at her tablet. I don't know. Let me check the engines. But it wasn't the engines. On the bridge, Pete was screaming into his radio. Mayday, Mayday. This is civilian transport New Haven. We are under attack. We surrender. We surrender. The first blast hit the ship's side. The lights went out for a moment, then came back on red. Emergency alarms started screaming. Jake ran through the halls, trying to reach the civilian quarters. He had to protect the families. But the second blast threw him against the wall. When he got up, there was blood on his face. Lisa! He called into his radio. Get the families to the escape pods. I'm trying. Lisa's voice came back, full of fear. But the hallway is blocked. Sam Rodriguez was already moving. His old soldier. Training kicked in. He ran toward the family quarters, his weak legs moving faster than they had in years. The third blast hit the engine room. Amy Carter was there, trying to keep the power on. The explosion threw her across the room. When she opened her eyes, everything was on fire. More blasts hit the ship. The Zephyrians were taking their time, making sure nothing survived. On their command ship, Admiral Kethfar watched the destruction with cold satisfaction. Humans think. They can just take any planet they want, he said to his officers. Time to teach them otherwise. The New Haven was breaking apart. Jake Morrison died at his post, still trying to send surrender signals. Lisa Bennett died trying to save a pregnant woman. Sam Rodriguez died protecting a group of children. Only one escape pod got away. 17 people crowded inside, including Amy Carter. They watched through the small window as the Zephyrian ships destroyed what was left of their home. Amy held a crying baby while the pod drifted in space. Around them, the pieces of the New Haven floated like broken dreams. Why? Whispered. An old woman. We were just families. Why did they kill us? Amy had no answer. She just held the baby tighter and watched the Zephyrian ships disappear into the darkness. The pod's emergency beacon started broadcasting. Help would come, but it would take days. And by then, the galaxy would know that 830 innocent humans had died for no reason except that they dared to dream of a new home among the stars. 6 days passed before the rescue ship found the escape pod floating in the cold darkness of space. Amy Carter and the other 16 survivors were weak and hungry, but alive. The baby she had held was still breathing, still crying for a mother, who would never come back. The rescue ship brought them to Earth Defense Command on Luna, the moon that circled around Earth. Amy sat in a white hospital room, staring at her hands. She kept seeing the faces of all the people who had died. Captain Morrison, who always smiled at everyone. Dr. Bennett, who sang to the sick children. Sam Rodriguez, who died trying to save people he barely knew. Miss Carter? A woman in a blue uniform came into the room. She was tall with short blonde hair and serious eyes. I'm Admiral Kate Sullivan. I need to ask you some questions. Amy nodded. She had already told the story 5 times, but she would tell it again. Someone needed to know what happened to those families. The black box from... Your ship recorded everything, Admiral Sullivan said gently. But I need to hear it from you. What did you see? Amy closed her eyes. They came out of nowhere. 3 big ships. Captain Morrison tried to surrender right away. He kept saying we were civilians, that we had families and children on board. Did the Zephyrians respond? No, they just started shooting. Amy's voice got quieter. They took their time, like they were enjoying it. Admiral Sullivan wrote notes on her tablet. She had been a soldier for 30 years, but this made her sick. Killing families was not war. It was murder. Did they try to board your ship? Take prisoners? Amy shook her head. No, they just wanted us dead. All of us. 2 days later, Admiral. Sullivan walked into a big meeting room in the Earth Defense Building. The walls were covered with screens showing maps of space and lists of ships. Around a long table sat the most important military people on Earth, that President Daniel Hayes was. There, a man with gray hair and tired eyes. Next to him sat Defense Secretary Rick Thompson, a big man who used to be a Marine. General Chris Martinez represented the Space Marines, and Dr. Patricia Green ran the secret weapons research. Play the recording, Admiral Sullivan said to her. Aid. The room filled with the sounds of death. Captain Morrison's voice, desperate and scared, begging the Zephyrians to spare the civilians. Children crying. Dr. Bennett shouting for someone to help her move the pregnant women. Then the explosions, the screaming, and finally silence. When it ended, the room was quiet for a long time. How many? President Hayes asked softly. 830 confirmed dead, Admiral Sullivan reported. 17 survivors. The youngest victim was 3 months old. Defense Secretary Thompson hit the table with his fist. This was not a military action. This was genocide. Our intelligence says it was planned, Admiral Sullivan continued. The Zephyrians have been looking for an excuse to attack human civilians. They wanted to send a message that we don't belong in their part of space. General Martinez leaned forward. His face was hard as stone. What kind of message do we send back? Doctor. Patricia Green had been quiet until now. She was a small woman with white hair and thick glasses, but her voice was strong. We could send the kind of message they'll never forget. Everyone looked at her. For 15 years, my team has been working on something called the Retribution Protocol. It was designed for exactly this situation. President Hayes frowned. I've never heard of this project. Because it was so secret that only 5 people knew about it, Dr. Green said, including me. She pressed a button on her tablet, and the big screen showed pictures of strange machines and complex math equations. We call it divine-level precision. Targeting. Using quantum mechanics and folded space technology, we can hit any target anywhere in the galaxy. Not ships, not buildings, individual people. Defense Secretary Thompson stared at the screen. You're talking about assassination weapons. I'm talking about justice weapons, Dr. Green corrected. Each shot is designed to kill one specific person. And only that person. No civilians get hurt. No buildings get damaged. Just the guilty party. Admiral Sullivan looked interested. How specific can you get? We can target individual DNA patterns from anywhere in the galaxy. If someone was on that Zephyrian ship, if they pulled a trigger, if they gave an order to fire, we can find them and eliminate them. The room got very quiet again. President Hayes spoke slowly. You're talking about hunting down every person involved. In the New Haven massacre. Every single one, Dr. Green confirmed. From the admiral who gave the orders to the weapons officer who fired the shots. Perfect justice. General Martinez smiled for the first time in days. They wanted to test our resolve. They wanted to see what humans do when someone murders our families. The technology exists, Dr. Green continued. We have quantum scanners that can identify individual biosignatures across light years. We have weapons that travel through folded space and arrive instantly at their targets. We've been waiting for the right situation to use them. Defense Secretary Thompson looked around the table. This would change everything. Every alien race in the galaxy would know that humans can reach out and touch anyone, anywhere. But only the guilty, Dr. Green emphasized. We're not talking about mass destruction. We're talking about surgical precision. Only the people who killed our families die. President Hayes stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see Earth in the distance, blue and beautiful and peaceful. Somewhere out there, families were going about their normal lives, not knowing that 830 innocent people had been murdered just for trying to find a new home. "What do you need?" he asked finally. Dr. Green stood up straighter. "Authorization to activate Nemesis Station on the far side of the moon, access to our deep space sensor network, and permission to show the galaxy what human justice looks like." "How long would it take?" "We can have the first target eliminated within 48 hours. President Hayes turned back to the group. The people on the New Haven were farmers, teachers, engineers. They were our best and brightest, going out to build something beautiful. And the Zephyrians killed them like they were nothing." He sat back down and looked each person in the eye. "Dr. Green, you have full authorization. General Martinez, provide any support she needs. Admiral Sullivan, coordinate with intelligence to identify every Zephyrian involved in the attack." Defense Secretary Thompson nodded. "What do we tell the press?" "Nothing yet," President Hayes said. "Let the Zephyrians enjoy their victory for a few more days. Then we'll show them what divine-level precision really means." As the meeting ended, Dr. Green gathered her papers. She had been waiting 15 years for this moment. The Zephyrians had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were weak. Because they tried to avoid war, they were about to learn that there was a big difference between avoiding war and being unable to fight one. The hunt was about to begin. Deep on the far side of Earth's moon, a secret base called Nemesis Station came to life. For 15 years, it had sat dark and empty, waiting. Now lights turned on in long hallways, and computers started humming with power. Colonel Nina Phillips walked through the control room, checking everything. She was a thin woman with dark hair and sharp eyes. Nina had been chosen to run this place because she was the best hunter in the human military. She had tracked down war criminals and terrorists across 3 star systems. "Systems are online, Colonel," reported Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner. Alex was young but brilliant, with red hair and freckles. He understood the quantum targeting. "Computers better than anyone else." "Good," Nina said. "What about our targets?" Chief Analyst Kelly Barnes looked up from her screens. Kelly was a smart woman with brown hair who could speak 12 alien languages. Her job was to listen to enemy communications and find the people they were hunting. "I've identified the 3 ships that attacked the New Haven," Kelly said. The flagship was called Crimson Talon, commanded by Admiral Kethvar. The other 2 ships were Void Strike and Death's Edge. Nina nodded. "Total crew?" "About 300 Zephyrians across all 3 ships. But not all of them were involved in the actual killing." Kelly pulled up pictures on the big screen. "These are the ones who gave orders or fired weapons." The screen showed alien faces. The Zephyrians looked like tall, thin lizards with gray skin and yellow eyes. Each picture had a name and what they did during the attack. Admiral Kethvar gave the order to attack, Kelly continued. Commander Zethron ordered the firing on the medical bay. Lieutenant Velkar personally targeted the children's sleeping area. Alex Turner was working at his quantum computer. The machine was as big as a car and made strange humming sounds. "I'm locking on to their biosignatures now. The quantum scanners can track them anywhere in the galaxy." Nina studied the faces on the screen. These aliens had murdered 830 innocent humans. Men, women, children, babies. People who just wanted to build farms and schools on a new world. "How does the targeting system work?" asked Captain Julie Davis, who had just arrived from Earth. Julie was in charge of coordinating with the deep space monitoring stations. Alex turned around, excited to explain his work. "Every living thing has a unique quantum signature. It's like a fingerprint, but much more detailed. Our scanners can detect these signatures from thousands of light years away." He pointed to his computer. Once we lock onto someone, we can send a microscopic singularity directly to their location. It travels through folded space, so it arrives instantly. What's a singularity? Julie asked. A tiny black hole, Alex explained. But we control exactly how big it is and how long it lasts. We can make one the size of a grain of sand that only affects one specific person. Nina walked over to the weapons control station. It looked like a simple chair with a helmet and gloves. And I control where it goes? Exactly. You put on the helmet, and the computer shows you exactly where the target is. You can see through walls, through ship holes, anything. Then you just point and the singularity appears right where you're pointing. Dr. Patricia Green arrived from Earth to watch the first test. She looked tired but excited. This was her life's work finally being used. Are we ready? Nina asked. Kelly checked her. Screens. Admiral Kethver is currently in his private dining room aboard the Crimson Talon. The ship is in orbit around the Zephyrian homeworld. Any civilians nearby? 2 other officers are in the room with him, but they're sitting 3 feet away. The targeting is precise enough to hit only Kethver. Nina sat in the weapons chair and put on the helmet. Suddenly, she could see across the galaxy. It was like being a ghost floating through space at the speed of light. She found the Zephyrian homeworld, a red planet with purple clouds. Above it, the warships hung in space like metal daggers. Nina focused on the Crimson Talon and passed through its hull like it wasn't there. Inside the ship, she saw Admiral Kethver eating his dinner. He was laughing at something, probably joking about the humans he had killed. 2 other Zephyrians sat at the same table, but Nina could see their quantum signatures were different colors. She could hit Kethver without touching them. Target acquired, Nina said calmly. You are cleared to fire, Dr. Green said. Nina pointed at Admiral Kethver's chest and squeezed the trigger on her glove. Light years away, a singularity the size of a sand grain appeared inside the Zephyrian Admiral's primary heart. For just 1 second, it pulled everything nearby into itself, then disappeared. Kethver stopped laughing. He looked confused, then fell forward onto his food. The other 2 officers jumped up, but there was nothing they could do. The Admiral was dead. Target eliminated, Nina reported. The control room was quiet for a moment. Then Alex Turner checked his computers. Confirmed. Quantum signature has stopped. He's gone. Dr. Green smiled. It was not a happy smile, but a satisfied one. 1 down. Kelly. Barnes was already pulling up the next target. Commander Zethron is on the planet's surface, visiting his family. Any children around? Nina asked. She would not risk hurting innocent kids, even alien ones. He's alone in his garden. His family is inside the house. Nina took a deep breath and found her next target. Commander Zithron was a tall Zephyrian with scars on his face. He was looking at strange alien flowers, probably thinking about his next military mission. This alien had ordered the attack on Dr. Bennett's medical bay. He had specifically targeted the area where pregnant women and sick people were sleeping. Nina didn't hesitate. Another singularity appeared, this time in Zethron's brain. He collapsed among his flowers, looking like he was just taking a nap. Target 2 eliminated, Nina said. The hunt continued through the night. Lieutenant Velkar died while sleeping in his bed on the Void Strike. The weapons officer who had fired on the children's area died during a training exercise. The communications specialist who had jammed the New Haven surrender signals choked during a meal with his friends. Each death was perfectly precise. No one else got hurt. The Zephyrians started to panic, but they couldn't understand what was happening. Their people were just dying, one by one, with no explanation. Captain Tony Rodriguez arrived at Nemesis Station to help coordinate the hunt. Tony was Sam Rodriguez's cousin, the old soldier who had died protecting children on the New Haven. Tony's face was hard with anger. "How many more?" he asked Nina. Kelly checked her list. 43 confirmed participants in the massacre. "We've eliminated 8 so far." "Keep going," Tony said quietly. "Don't stop until every single one is dead." By morning, 12 Zephyrians had died. News was spreading through their fleet that something impossible was happening. Their officers were dying in ways that made no sense. Some collapsed during meetings. Others died in their sleep. A few died while surrounded by bodyguards who couldn't even see what killed them. The Zephyrian High Command called an emergency meeting. They gathered in their most secure bunker, deep underground on their homeworld. Force fields protected them. Jammers blocked all known human technology. "How are the humans doing this?" demanded General Vector. "We have no reports of human ships in our space." "It has to be some kind of new weapon," said Admiral Vexai. "But nothing on our sensors." They were scared, and they had every right to be. The humans had brought a new kind of war to the galaxy. Not fleets of ships or massive explosions. Just perfect, quiet death for anyone who harmed innocent people. In the Nemesis Station control room, Nina Phillips selected her next target. She was tired, but her hands were steady. These aliens had started this war by murdering families. She was going to finish it, one precise shot at a time. The hunt was just beginning, and the Zephyrians were learning that there was no place in the galaxy they could hide from human justice. 3 weeks had passed since the hunt began. 28 Zephyrians were dead, each one killed with impossible precision. The galaxy was starting to notice. On the trading station Deep Space Nine, aliens from dozens of different races gathered. In the bars and meeting rooms, everyone was talking about the same thing. How were the humans doing it? "I heard they have invisible ships," whispered a blue-skinned Regellian trader. "No, it's some kind of poison gas that only affects Zephyrians," said a 4-armed Centauran merchant. "My cousin works in Zephyrian space," added a reptilian vegan diplomat. "He says their officers are afraid to leave their rooms. Some are resigning from the military just to get away from the war." Back at Nemesis Station, the hunting continued like clockwork. Technical specialist Warren Lay had joined the team to help with the more complex shots. Warren was a thin man with thick glasses who could calculate impossible math problems in his head. "This next target is tricky," Warren said, looking at his screen. "Sub-Commander Kelron is inside a ship that's moving faster than light." Nina Phillips looked up from her targeting chair. "Can we hit a moving target?" "The quantum targeting system doesn't care about distance or speed," Alex Turner explained. "But we need to time it perfectly." "Warren, what's the math?" Warren's fingers flew over his calculator. "The ship will drop out of faster-than-light travel in exactly 47 minutes and 12 seconds. If we fire the singularity 38 minutes from now, it will arrive just as the ship stops moving." "And Kelron will be where?" Kelly Barnes checked her intelligence reports. "He's scheduled to be on the bridge, taking navigation readings. Standard procedure for ships exiting faster-than-light travel." Nina nodded. Kelron had been the gunner who personally fired on the New Haven's reactor core. He had made sure no one could escape by destroying the ship's power source. "Set it up," she ordered. The next shot was even more precise than usual. Exactly 38 minutes later, Nina fired a singularity into empty space. It waited there, invisible and patient, until the Zephyrian ship appeared around it. Kelron was standing at his navigation station when the tiny black hole materialized inside his spine. "Target eliminated," Nina reported. "Divine-level precision confirmed." Doctor Patricia Green was watching from the observation deck. She had started calling their targeting system divine-level precision because it was so perfect it seemed like an act of God. How are the other alien races reacting? She asked Captain Julie Davis. Julie had been monitoring communications across the galaxy. They're terrified and impressed at the same time. No one has ever seen anything like this. The Klingon Empire sent a message saying they respect our honorable vengeance. The Vulcan High Command called it logically perfect justice. What about our allies? The Centaurans are offering to help track down any remaining targets. The Andorians want to buy our targeting technology, but we told them it's classified. Colonel Nina Phillips stood up from her targeting chair. She had been hunting for 18 hours straight and needed a break. Her assistant, Lieutenant Sarah Kim, took over the controls. How many left? Nina asked Kelly Barnes. 15 confirmed targets still alive, Kelly reported. But they're getting harder to find. The remaining Zephyrians are hiding in bunkers, changing their identities, even deserting from their military. Nina smiled grimly. Fear is a powerful weapon. The psychological effect was exactly what Dr. Green had hoped for. Every Zephyrian who had participated in the New Haven massacre now lived in constant terror. They couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't trust anyone. Some had tried to hide on distant planets. Others had changed their names and faces with surgery. None of it mattered. The quantum scanners could track their unique biosignatures anywhere. Commander, Tony Rodriguez walked into the control room carrying coffee for the team. Tony had been working around the clock, coordinating with intelligence services across human space. I just got word from Earth intelligence, he said. The Zephyrian High Command is considering surrender. Dr. Green looked surprised. Surrender? They still have thousands of ships, but they're losing their best officers one by one, Tony explained. Every captain and admiral who is involved in attacking civilians is marked for death. Their military command structure is falling apart. On the main screen, Kelly Barnes brought up a star map showing Zephyrian space. Red dots marked where their targets had died. The dots formed a clear pattern, showing the systematic elimination of everyone involved in the massacre. It's like watching dominoes fall, observed technical specialist Warren Lee. Each death makes the next one easier to achieve. The next target was particularly satisfying. Chief Gunner Mott Carr had bragged to his friends about how many human children he had killed. Now he was hiding in an asteroid mining station, surrounded by automated defense systems and energy shields. Nina put on her targeting helmet and found the mining station. It was a small metal facility built into a large rock floating in space. The defenses were impressive. Laser cannons, missile launchers, and force fields that could stop any normal weapon. But the quantum targeting system didn't care about defenses. Nina could see right through the asteroid, through the metal walls, through the energy shields. There was Mott Carr, sitting in what he thought was the safest room in the galaxy. The singularity appeared inside his chest cavity. The force fields didn't even flicker. Target eliminated, Nina said. All those defenses, and they might as well have been made of paper. The hunting was becoming an art form. Lieutenant Sarah Kim eliminated a target while he was giving a speech to 1,000 Zephyrians. The singularity was so precise that the alien sitting next to the target didn't even know he was dead until he fell over. Technical specialist Warren Lee calculated a shot that killed a target who was underwater in a swimming pool. The singularity removed exactly the right amount of water along with the target, so the pool level barely changed. Each impossible kill sent a message to every alien race in the galaxy. Humans could reach anyone, anywhere, anytime. But they only killed the guilty. Innocent people, even Zephyrian civilians, were perfectly safe. The alien news networks started calling it the Precision War. Unlike every other conflict in galactic history, this war had no collateral damage. No innocent bystanders died. No cities were destroyed. Just perfect surgical removal of war criminals. On the Zephyrian homeworld, panic was spreading. Military officers were deserting in large numbers. Some were fleeing to distant systems. Others were turning themselves into human authorities, hoping that surrender might save their lives. But Colonel Nina Phillips had her orders. Every person who participated in the New Haven massacre would face justice. Surrender wouldn't save them. Running wouldn't save them. Only innocent people were safe from human vengeance. Next target, Nina said, settling back into her chair. Kelly Barnes brought up another file. Engineering Specialist Veek Star. He overloaded the New Haven's engines to make sure no escape pods could get away. Where is he now? Deep underground bunker on Zephyr Prime, 3 kilometers below the surface, behind multiple force fields. Nina smiled coldly. Depth doesn't matter to a quantum. Singularity. She put on her helmet and dove through space and stone and metal until she found her target. Vexstar was shaking with fear, probably knowing that his turn was coming soon. The singularity appeared directly in his brain. Even 3 kilometers underground, surrounded by the best defenses the Zephyrians could build, divine-level precision. Found its mark. Target eliminated, Nina reported. Depth is irrelevant. The message was clear to every alien in the galaxy. There was no hiding from human justice. The precision was so perfect, it seemed supernatural. And there were still more. Targets to eliminate. 3 months had passed since the New Haven massacre. 42 Zephyrians were dead, each one eliminated with perfect precision. Only one target remained alive, Captain Zelthar, who had commanded the ship that destroyed the civilian transports. Reactor Core. The Zephyrian High Command had hidden Zelthar in their most secure location. Deep beneath their capital city, in a bunker built to survive planet-killing weapons, surrounded by every defensive system they possessed. He's 3 kilometers underground, reported Chief Analyst Kelly Barnes. The bunker has triple layered. Force fields, quantum jammers, and an entire army division guarding it. Colonel Nina Phillips studied the intelligence reports. The Zephyrians had learned from watching their officers die. This bunker was designed specifically to stop human targeting. Systems. What kind of jammers? Asked technical specialist Warren Lee. Every type they know about, Kelly replied. Radio, quantum, subspace, even experimental temporal disruptors. Alex Turner looked worried. Some of those might actually interfere with our targeting system. Dr. Patricia Green had arrived from Earth for the final shot. This was her moment. A victory, the proof that her 15 years of work had been worth it. Can we get through their defenses? She asked. Warren Lee was already calculating. His fingers moved quickly across his computer as he worked out the math. The quantum tunneling. Effect should bypass most of their jammers. But it will take more power than we've ever used before. How much more? About 10 times our normal energy output. We'll have to channel power from the entire lunar grid. Nina Phillips stood up from her targeting chair. She had been hunting for 3 months without a break. Her eyes were tired, but her hands were still steady. Set it up, she ordered. On Earth, President Daniel Hayes was preparing for a special broadcast. In a few hours, he would address both the United Nations and the Galactic Council at the same time. The speech would announce the end of humanities. Response to the New Haven massacre. Defense Secretary Rick Thompson was with him, reviewing the final details. The last target will be eliminated during your speech? Exactly, President Hayes confirmed. I want every alien leader watching when we demonstrate that nowhere in the galaxy is safe from human justice. At Nemesis Station, the team was preparing for their most difficult shot. Power cables ran from the targeting system to the lunar power grid. Every energy source on the moon was being channeled into the quantum generators. Power at maximum, reported Alex Turner. We've got about 30 seconds before the system overloads. Nina Phillips put on her targeting helmet one last time. She dove through space faster than ever before, racing toward the Zephyrian homeworld. The extra power made everything brighter, clearer, more real. She found the capital city, a sprawling metropolis of metal towers and flowing bridges. Below the city, she passed through layers of rock and metal until she reached the bunker. The defenses were incredible. Force fields shimmered in layers around the bunker, like rainbow walls. Quantum jammers created static that hurt Nina's eyes. Temporal disruptors made time itself seem to bend and twist, but the quantum targeting system cut through everything like it wasn't there. Nina could see Captain Zelthar sitting in the center of the most protected room in Zephyrian space. He was attending a war council with other high-ranking officials. Probably planning their next move against humanity. Around the table sat a dozen Zephyrian leaders. Admirals, generals, politicians, all of them trying to figure out how to stop the human hunters. They thought their bunker would protect them. They were wrong. Nina could see Zelthar's quantum signature glowing like a red beacon. He was the alien who had given the final order to destroy the New Haven's reactor. He had personally made sure that 830 innocent humans died with no chance of escape. Target acquired, Nina said calmly. Zelthar is in the center of the room, surrounded by other officials. How close are they to him? Asked Dr. Green. The nearest alien is sitting 2 feet away, but I can target his brainstem with millimeter precision. On Earth, President Hayes was walking onto the stage at the United Nations building. Representatives from dozens of alien races filled the audience. The Galactic Council was watching through subspace transmitters. This speech would be heard across the galaxy. People of Earth and citizens of the galaxy, President Hayes began. 3 months ago, 830 innocent human civilians were murdered in an unprovoked attack on the transport vessel New Haven. The audience was completely silent. Everyone knew what had happened next. Today, we conclude our response to that massacre. At Nemesis Station, Nina Phillips took careful aim. Through her targeting system, she could see every detail of Captain Zelthar's alien face. He looked nervous, probably sensing that his time was running out. "You are cleared to fire," Dr. Green said quietly. Nina squeezed the trigger on her targeting glove. Light years away, in the most protected room on the Zephyrian homeworld, a singularity the size of a grain of sand appeared inside Captain Zelthar's brain stem. The tiny black hole lasted for exactly 1 second, then vanished. Zelthar stopped talking mid-sentence. He looked confused for a moment, then collapsed forward onto the council table. The other Zephyrian leaders stared in absolute horror. Their most secure bunker had been useless. Their best defenses had been meaningless. The humans had reached through 3 kilometers of rock and metal and multiple force fields to kill one specific individual without harming anyone else in the room. Target eliminated, Nina reported. Final target confirmed dead. Dr. Green smiled with satisfaction. The hunt is complete. On Earth, President Hayes continued his speech. He didn't know yet that the final shot had been fired, but he spoke as if he did. Every individual responsible for the New Haven massacre has faced justice, he announced. Every person who gave an order, fired a weapon, or participated in the murder of innocent families has been eliminated with surgical precision. The alien representatives in the audience shifted nervously. They had all heard the stories about impossible human weapons. However, President Hayes continued, Earth wishes to make one thing perfectly clear to all civilizations. We will never fire the first shot, but we will always fire the last one. He paused, looking directly at the camera that was broadcasting to the Galactic Council with divine-level precision. The speech ended, and the message was clear. Humanity had demonstrated a new kind of warfare. Not the brutal destruction of entire planets or the mass slaughter of civilian populations. Instead, perfect, targeted elimination of only the guilty party's dot in the weeks that followed. The effects rippled across the galaxy. Military commanders from every alien race reviewed their rules of engagement. The message was simple. If you harm human civilians, you will be hunted down and eliminated, no matter where you hide. The Zephyrian hegemony formally surrendered and offered to pay reparations for the New Haven massacre. Other aggressive alien races suddenly became much more polite in their dealings with human colonies. Amy Carter, the young engineer who had survived the attack, was promoted to chief engineer of Earth's new Deep Space Monitoring Division. Her job was to watch for any threats against human civilian ships and coordinate with Nemesis Station if action was needed. She stood in her new office on Luna, looking out at the stars through the big window. Alien ships moved carefully through the shipping lanes, giving human vessels plenty of space. No one wanted to risk accidentally harming a human civilian. "How does it feel?" asked Sam Rodriguez Jr., who had joined her team. Sam was the son of the old soldier who had died protecting children on the New Haven. He had requested assignment to the monitoring division to honor his father's memory. "Different," Amy said quietly. "Before the massacre, we were just another young race trying to find our place in the galaxy. Now ... Now they're afraid of us?" Amy nodded. "Not afraid of our ships or our armies. Afraid of our justice." She pulled up a holographic display showing human space. Green dots marked peaceful. Colonies where families were building new lives. Red lines showed the shipping routes that alien vessels now avoided unless absolutely necessary. "The galaxy learned something important," Amy continued. "We won't start wars, but we'll finish them. We won't attack civilians, but we'll protect them. And if someone murders our families..." She gestured toward Nemesis Station, still hidden on the far side of the moon. "We'll hunt them down with divine-level precision." On Earth, a new memorial was built to honor the victims of the New Haven massacre. It wasn't a monument to war or vengeance. Instead, it showed a family looking up at the stars, dreaming of new worlds and better lives. The inscription was simple. They sought the stars in peace. They found justice and precision. Children from around the world came to visit the memorial. They learned about the 830 people who had died just for wanting to build farms and schools on a distant planet. They also learned about the response. Perfect, surgical justice that protected the innocent while eliminating only the guilty dot. The lesson spread throughout human space and beyond. Earth would always defend its people, but it would do so with a precision that amazed and terrified the galaxy. Not through mass destruction, but through perfect targeting. Not through revenge, but through justice. And in the deep space monitoring stations, human operators watched the stars, making sure that no civilian ship would ever again face the fate of T.